Hello and welcome to the CLN Podcast. I'm your host Nadia, and coming up on today's show is something a little special. I'm joined with co-host Lisa Sisk of This Is Knit, and today's special guest is none other than Melanie Berg. So settle in, grab a cuppa and come on join us. First of all, a big hello and welcome. If you're a new listener, come on in and have a nosy around the blog, Ravelry and social media. And for returning listeners, it's lovely to have you all back again and joining in with the show, so big hello to all of you. If you do have time and you like the show, pop on over to iTunes and leave a review. It helps us move up there with rankings. And if you would like to keep up with all of the news and info from the blog, you can sign up to the newsletter on www.cottagenotebook.ie. Now, if you have been following along with the podcasts, you will have heard me mention some special workshops at This Is Knit in Dublin with Melanie Berg. I know from the feedback from all of you who couldn't attend that you would have liked to hear a little bit more from Melanie herself, so I tried to do something a little bit special for all of you. This involved some bribery with Lisa with some baked goods to meet us very early in the morning before Melanie's workshops in Powerscourt Townhouse Centre. So Lisa agreed to come on the show as a guest host, and we sat down in This Is Knit just before opening on Sunday for a chat with Melanie on everything from shawl design to fundraising and her collaboration with the Yarn Collective. So settle in and I hope you enjoy today's show. Hello and welcome to the show today. We are coming to you from This Is Knit in Powerscourt Town Centre in Dublin 2. And today on the show we have the wonderful Lisa Sisk, who runs and owns This Is Knit, and the lovely Melanie Berg, who's here for her workshops in Dublin.
Hello everyone, hi.
Hello, thanks for involving me today.
So I was kind of hoping that we could have an informal chat with Lisa and Melanie. Hi Melanie, welcome to Dublin, and can you tell us a little bit why you are here in Dublin today?
Oh well, I'm here because Lisa invited me to come and teach at This Is Knit, and I was excited to come because I've never been to Ireland before, so, obviously never been to Dublin before, and so I just took the chance to visit this country, learn a little more about it, and meet some knitters here in Dublin.
We're really delighted to have you here, and I think everything's been going wonderfully well so far. We did 2 workshops yesterday.
Right, and they were amazing. Nice group of students, and I think everyone had fun. I had fun.
We had wonderful feedback, and we're looking forward to another session later today.
Yes.
And you were saying you really enjoyed the company of the knitters that came along, you know?
Yes. Most of them were from Dublin. Well, some of them were from the surroundings. They told me the names of the places, but I never heard of them before. Well, yes, and I just didn't have any idea. Is that far from here or?
Yeah.
It sounded like they were from close by.
Enthusiastic fans that made the journey, and there was a lady here from America as well.
Right, yeah. And apparently she has a new job now that brought her to Ireland on a business trip, and as she followed you or me or someone, I don't know, on Instagram, she saw that I'm teaching here, and she checked her schedule and said, "Oh my God, it's on the last day of her trip."
It was meant to be.
Right, yeah. So she was lucky.
Yeah,
and
definitely.
Yes.
But it's great to have people, you know, you've such an international following.
Yes.
And I suppose it's unusual. You wouldn't expect coming to Dublin then to be to see people of so many different nationalities here to visit you. So
right.
Lovely.
So that was
great
fun.
to facilitate.
And how did you choose your workshops for Dublin? Because you're doing shawl design.
Yes, yesterday it was shawl construction. That's it's a workshop that has a little focus on moth. Not a terrible big focus, so no one needs to be afraid. But there is some moth involved, obviously. So we're talking about different shawl shapes, like the triangular shawl, or top down, or bottom up, or where to increase, where to decrease, or circular shawls, all kinds of aspects. that was the morning class, and then the afternoon class was design your own mosaic shawl with focus on mosaic knitting. And I like that workshop a lot because students actually have to come up. Well, the other workshops, I explain them a couple of things and they follow along, and then in the end we knit. We do some knitting and try these things out in a practical way. But the designing mosaic shawls workshop, they just have to
be
get
involved
there.
from
Yes,
the early.
they have to
work
be
along
creative.
with you. Yeah.
And
yes.
yes,
Yeah,
and that's interesting for me to see because everyone does this in a different way.
Their approaches.
Their approaches are different, right? And yeah, that's fun for me to do, right?
And how did you get into knitting shawls? Because primarily your designs are shawls. Why are they your favourite?
A good question. I would say, well, primarily because I like to wear shawls, so that feels like a very natural thing for me to knit. Well, I would say that is probably the main reason. I never made it.
You don't outsource your knitting. You do all of the knitting yourself, and you're so prolific as well. So I suppose does it keep the fact that you're knitting away on these designs and it is your work, but you're thinking about this is the type of thing that I want to wear, and then that keeps you going.
That keeps you motivated, of course. And yes, right. I'm not sourcing the knitting out because that's one of the best aspects in the job, right? So I'm. It's not like I'm knitting the whole day, right? Because there are a lot of other tasks that need to be done, like computer work or customer support or photography, right? Or graphic design, anything like that. The knitting is maybe 30% at maximum, I would say. Yeah. But I'm usually always having at least one project on my needles. So if I want to knit, I always have the chance to work on a project. And usually as soon as I finish knitting on one project, I'm ready to start the next one.
I can imagine you have so many lined up.
Yes, right.
Can I ask a little bit about your work with the Yarn Collective? How did that collaboration come together?
The Yarn Collective is a new project from the folks that love knitting in London, and they approached me maybe a year ago or so and asked me if I would like to be part of that project. They were inviting different designers to help participate in creating a new yarn, especially in regard of the colors. So they invited Bristol Ivy, Carol Feller and me, and each of us was allowed to create a color palette for one of their yarn lines. And that was a fun thing for me to do. It was new for me because usually I work with a given yarn, right? There is a certain color palette and you can choose colors and then work with them. But this actual process of creating a color, and not only one, but creating a palette that works as a whole, that was new to me, and I really, really enjoyed doing that. So I like to work with grays. If you follow me and know my project, then you know I have a lot of shawls and garments that are just using gray, all kinds of gray. And so that felt like a natural thing for me to do, to start the palette adding grays. And then just one by one adding some color pops, because only grays, that would be just too boring after a while, so you need something to spice that up a little. And that was my approach. And now the yarns are launched for a while already. I think they launched in the end of 2016. And it's fun to see people knit up their own projects using my colors. So that's a cool thing for me to see.
How did the lace weight, because you yourself did the lace weight.
Right, the Portland lace.
Carol did the Bloomsbury DK.
Right, and Bristol did the
Pembroke.
Pembroke, right.
Yeah.
Right.
So how did that come about? Like, did you say that you wanted primarily to work with lace weight?
Well, they asked me what weight I would prefer, and as my favorite weight is fingering, I told them, hey, I would love to work with the fingering, and they said, well, there is no fingering. Next best thing. And they offered me the lace, and so I went with that, and I just used it double-stranded, so that's pretty much a fingering.
That's very good.
Right, yeah. So that was the reason why I did the lace, right.
And where did the inspiration for those designs come from?
I only did one design. It's called Secret Keeper, a big asymmetrical shawl. It's half garter stitch and half patterned with a lace, with a lace pattern. And where did that come from? I just wanted to try out that way of constructing a shawl because it's a construction that I've not used a lot until then. And I wanted to, well, it's a hand-dyed yarn, right? It has this semi-solid effect. So I wanted to use a pattern that shows how this effect, how this works on different kinds of textured patterns. So that's why it is half in garter stitch and half with a lace pattern. And the name Secret Keeper is because everything was such a big secret about that yarn collective project.
Ties in nicely.
Yes, so it felt like a big secret to me. So that was my association.
Yes, I was wondering actually. We were talking before about that you were working for a number of years and you were doing part-time work and plugging away at the design, building your profile. And it's wonderful now that you're doing this full time, that it's that you get to travel all over the world for this work.
Yes.
But what was the turning point is what I'd like to know, from between those really intense years where you had young children and working part time and then doing all your design work, what pushed everything into I suppose the massive profile that you have now?
I think the biggest turning point was probably the day I quit my day job. That was more or less exactly 3 years ago. It was a bit of a mix before because I was working as an IT professional in the city where we were living. And then we had our 3 kids, and for each kid I took a year off. And then I had to go back to the job. But the next kid arrived very shortly after that. So more or less it was almost 4 years in a row that I didn't go to my day job. Yeah. And that was the time when when I first started knitting again. I was knitting as a teenager, so I knew how to do the knits and how to do the pearls and stuff like that. But
children are this big catalyst for knitters.
Right,
they really
it felt like the natural thing to do, like pick up your needles and create something warm and cozy because you want to wrap your baby.
Right, lovely wool. Yes,
right, exactly. But I had no intention of becoming a knitwear designer. In fact, I didn't know there was a thing like that. Knitwear designer. It was a thing I never just thought about.
That's a job. I don't know. Yeah.
It was a niche that I never got to think about until
you didn't cross paths with it before.
Right. So then I discovered Ravelry, and I discovered there were things like knitting patterns, and then I started knitting from them, and I tweaked them here and tweaked them there, and then I tweaked them more and more, and then in the end I said, okay, well, if I change them so much, it would maybe be easier to just start writing my own patterns. Yeah. So that was my first step into the design area, and Ravelry of course made it easy to put your patterns out, to offer them to a really large audience. So I really enjoyed doing that. And
I suppose Ravelry makes it so easy in a way, and that so many people are doing that the question is, how do you get noticed in that platform? How do you become one of the hottest right now? How do you
Yes.
Do you think there's a trick, or you just really good design?
No, it's there are several things that play a role. I think the number one secret, as in all other jobs in this world, is constantly deliver high quality products.
Yeah, absolutely.
That is the thing. I mean, if you have one pattern out there, you will be known for maybe a week or two, but you have to,
you have to build the momentum.
You have to build the momentum, and your followers want to learn what's new. They want to see what you're working on, or what are your upcoming projects, or things like that. So you have to keep it going, right?
Yeah. Oh, absolutely.
And you really have to deliver high quality, because especially in knitting, I think, because knitting a project takes so much time for the knitter. It's not like they are finished in a day, right? No. It's a commitment, and they are working for several weeks on one project. So if they don't like the result in the end, they don't feel good about you as a designer, right? And they will maybe hesitate to knit your patterns again. So you really have to make sure that your finished objects.
They've gone through the whole test knitting process.
That there are no mistakes in them, and that the finished object, has a nice size, feel, shape, a nice look, a nice feel, right? Yeah. Right, all these things, just to ensure that your customers are happy with that
it's a big responsibility, you know.
Yes. Yeah. And then, of course, it takes time to build your following, right? It's not like you can do that in a week or so. No. So the day that I mentioned just a few minutes ago, that turning point for me was when I quit my day job, and that's 3 years ago. So things were going quite well until then already, but of course I had a lot of other things. Yeah, my old day job, and then the kids were still so small, so it was not like designing was the only thing in my life. But since then, of course, I had so much more time to spend on designing, and I could really put all that time into my job. So
you're just seeing it build and build from there, I think, obviously, because you're able to deliver more high quality product. You're able to be teasing people with what's coming next and showing them. Yeah. Right.
And if you want to, like in any other job of the world, if you want to do that for a living, you'll have to do it full time. Yeah. It's a lot of people maybe dream of turning their hobby into their job, but they still have their day job, and there is no chance for them to quit their day job, and so they only have few time for designing, and they do that for maybe 3 or 4 months, and they see that I'm not selling that many patterns, and they just give up. Well, of course, they don't sell so many patterns in the beginning, because you need to build your brand, your following, and you.
Because there's so much more to it rather than producing a pattern.
Right, and it's definitely a full-time job.
Yeah, and I think it's. You're making me think now of when I quit, because I was working part-time when we started the shop as well, and that line in the sand of knowing, okay, if we're going to do this, we need to be on it full time.
You'll have to do it full time.
It's either it's going to work or it's not going to work, but it's not going to work if your attention is divided in. Never mind with children, of course, as well, but to be trying to do 2 jobs.
Yeah, you will do them both badly.
Yes. Yeah. Yes. It's a wonderful. We're very lucky that we've had.
Yes, absolutely.
We've been able to do that.
One of the best jobs in the world.
Yeah.
What do you think helped you most to develop your brand? Because a lot of people struggle with that.
Good question. Probably, it's probably that I'm good at social media. I think it feels like a very natural thing to me. It's not like I have a social media plan or anything like that. I know that some people do, and it's totally cool and great if that works for them. I would feel very strange if I had to create a timetable that says, okay, Monday to post on Instagram, Tuesday to post on Facebook or something like that. I never think about it that much. But I think probably Instagram helped a lot to build my brand, because Instagram is all about photography, right? And knitters are people that enjoy beauty. So they will enjoy beautiful photos too. And talking about knitwear, how to say that? It's much easier to show a beautiful photo than to try to explain everything in detail.
Of course.
Right? So a photo can say more than 1,000 words. So Instagram is the natural medium, the natural media, I would say, for knitters and for the yarn industry.
And have you ever studied photography in any way, or is it something that you developed just as an interest, as a hobby?
I was interested in photography partly in my old day job, because I had a co-worker who's very much into it, and I listened to him. I learned a little about the technical background. And then when our first daughter was born, of course, we went crazy with photography, because we made 1 million photos of her.
Of course.
Then when the second child came,
about 100.
And then for the third child, maybe we have 2 or 3. But in the beginning, of course, we were taking just so many pictures of her, and
beautiful. She was a great practice.
Yes, it was right.
Because your Instagram feed is beautiful, and I love the styling of your images for the shawls.
Oh, thank you.
Because they achieve. There is a bit of a fine line when you're thinking about knitwear photography, about creating a beautiful image, but also showing the project, because the knitter also wants to know, well, is that something that I feel that I can achieve? Can I see the detail there? Whereas you could have somebody standing in a beautiful field of flowers and you can't see the shawl. So
photography was something I was really struggling with in the beginning when I started, designing, and I needed to have good photos for my patterns, right?
Yes, absolutely.
But I didn't know how to get the good photos, because I wanted to be the model, because I thought, okay, it's my project, so brand. I want to be the one who models the piece, but I also wanted to be the photographer. Because
I can see this being a problem.
It really was. I asked my boyfriend in the beginning to take a few photos, but he just didn't have that eye for it. Yeah. He took photos of me, and not of the knitwear.
Yes.
So that was not working so well. And then I booked a professional photographer from time to time, but it was the same problem. He was used to doing like portraits, so he took portraits from me, but I didn't need portraits, right? I wanted to have a photo that shows the shop.
You have to be a knitter, don't you, to take photographs and really
or
understand.
At least a fashion background, something like that. So that was really frustrating for me in the beginning, until I invested in a tripod and a wireless remote control for my DSLR, and that was the turning point in photography. Everything was easy then, and I'm always amused when people tell me that they like my photography, because often people tell me, oh, it looks so professional. Well, I am doing that in our living room, right? So there is a lot of toys next to us and all kinds of stuff the kids leave there, and the sofa with all the cushions looks like a mess. But I try to. Well, we have a small wall with no shelf or so that is my it's my backdrop, and so it's not a professional setup
and
at all.
No professional lighting.
No fashionable lighting at all. No, but we have big glass doors that point outwards to the yard, and the sunlight is coming in. So this is really providing the good lighting. But I have no these umbrellas that photographers use. I don't even know what they are called.
It's wonderful. So you found your style and your setup quite
yes.
luckily
Absolutely.
When you're there with the kids and everything.
Yes, and I can do it spontaneously. I can get up in the morning and say, okay, let's do some photos today.
There's good light, or
right. I don't have to plan it ahead for a long time.
It's great. It's a great efficiency.
Yeah.
I think.
Yes. It is.
What is your favorite thing about being a designer, if you had to pick one thing?
I would say it's the flexibility. Every day I can choose what I want to do, and of course I have some appointments, like the kids need to, I don't know, go to the doctor, or I have to see the teacher, and I can build my work around all these appointments. So it's a great amount of flexibility, and of course it's a creative job. So this is a creative freedom I never had in my old job, right? I didn't even know that you can work like that. So I would say these two things, yes, the flexibility and the creativity.
Because earlier you were saying that you really do find a lot of joy in what you do.
Yes, and I didn't find that so much in my old day job, right? It was I was working in IT, and I stumbled into IT somehow because I finished school at the end of the last century, and that was when the big .com boom really was there. So I thought, okay, what to do? Okay, let's just study IT. So I did that for a while, and then I found the job and was working for a while, but it frustrated me more and more. I did that because you have to do something to earn some money, but I was working for an authority, and the colleagues were not very open to changes. I was the young motivated person there who wanted to shake things up a little, but they were like, no.
Not a popular idea.
No, not at all. So that was really frustrating for me, and my motivation dropped and dropped and dropped and dropped. So in the end, I just went there for the money, really. And
it's a wonderful transformation then to go to having utter control over everything, and none of that pushback or resistance that you get from an organisation like that.
And that's probably why I enjoy working self-employed, because now if I have an idea, I can just do that. And earlier it was, if I have an idea, no one cares.
Or 3 committee stages later, they said we might.
Right. So that's cool.
Difference, when you're working self-employed though as well, you do have that creative freedom, but do you find it still quite important to touch base with other people working in your area?
Yes, absolutely.
You certainly don't want to end up in moving away from a big sort of static organisation, but you do need to bounce ideas off other people as well. Are there particular people in the industry that you work with well, or that
yes. Being a knitwear designer, it can be a very lonely job if you decide to only work from home in front of the computer screen and never go out and meet anyone else. That's totally fine if you like to do that. And I enjoy doing that for a while, for a certain while, right? But then every now and then I really need to reach out and see others in person. Yes. That's why I enjoy doing workshops, because it brings you out, gets you out.
Absolutely, and you get that first-person feedback from people about your designs as well. Like the lady yesterday who had knit 6 of your shawls.
She made 6
of
the Miller's daughter's shawls.
And we were saying, and it's lace weight, and it's
it took her some time, definitely.
And how energizing that must be to kind of to come across somebody.
It's one of the best things in the job, to get that positive face-to-face feedback. That is really great. Yes. I also like to collaborate with people in the industry. I'm working together, like with the Yarn Collective. That brought me closer to Bristol Ivy and Carol Feller, which is great because I like their work and I like them as a person. So it was cool to also be able to work together with them. Then I'm also working together on a very regular basis with Rosie Green.
Yes.
It's a German yarn company from Munich with a very big focus on sustainability and a very ecological approach. So that's
something you really identify with.
Yes, that's something I really appreciate. And they are also cool persons, so we really got to be good friends now after all these years.
So your meetings are a lot of fun, I can imagine.
Yes.
And do you have would you ask them to dye particular colours for you, or do you let them play?
Well, over the past years, they have one a sport weight yarn, which is their most famous yarn, most popular yarn, right? And I was designing shawls using that yarn. But then around a year ago, Rosie approached me because they are working on developing a new yarn, and Rosie and I got to create the color palette for that together. The yarn is not yet published, so I'm not going to say a lot of things about this now, but it will be published in November if everything goes right.
Schedule and
right. So that was a fun thing for me to do because Rosie and I were really working closely together, and that's something I don't usually do, right? So that was fun and interesting.
As you say, it's nice to strike the balance then, that you get to do a bit of that and then a bit of your own thing.
And it's also good, being self-employed, you always get to take your own decisions and you get to be your own boss. Yeah. But it's also good, I think, for your personal development, maybe, to also work together with others and take the opinion of others into account, right? Not always only take your own decisions for the best ones and the good ones, but also listen and try to make compromises and try to find the best possible solution.
Each person's going to have their own contribution, and you come out as a whole.
Right. You can learn so much from other people, right? And if you only ever work alone, then you don't have that chance.
Exactly. How are you going to develop and move on in your skills? Yeah.
Right.
You were also chatting a little bit about your charity work. Could you tell us a little bit about that?
Yes. I started doing some charity work in 2 or 3 years ago, I don't remember exactly, I found a charity organization, Plan Deutschland is the name of that organization, and they sponsor children in Asia, South America, and Africa. So you can become a sponsor, right? And I took up 3 sponsorships because I have 3 kids on my own. So I thought it would be nice to, to also take care of 3 other kids. So each month, a part of my pattern sales is going to that company to sponsor the kids there. And it's nice because it's a bit of a personal connection that you have with them. It's not like you give your money away and you never know what they do with it. And that way you really get some feedback and you learn about their lives and about their situation and about their family and the schools they attend. So that is a good thing. And I'm also donating, spontaneously to, whenever, for example, if I do a pattern sale, then often I will use a portion of that proceeds to support a charity. I have done a big fundraiser just a few weeks ago. I don't know if you heard about that. I wanted to raise 10,000 euro for Doctors Without Borders. And we did that. So that was really amazing. That was really, I was so overwhelmed by the response because, everyone who contributed did not receive anything in return for that. It's not like I say, okay, buy one of my patterns and I will donate a portion of the proceeds. It was just a pure act of kindness from everyone who donated. So that was really overwhelming for me. And then the fundraiser ended, and the other day my phone rang, and it was a lady from Doctors Without Borders, and she told me how thankful they were and how cool that was, and yes, that was a lovely response to get a direct feedback from them also.
It's such a wonderful achievement to have brought so many people together for a common cause.
Absolutely. So that really made me happy. And I mean, it's a big amount of money, they can put that to such a great use. So
there's a great
link
between the Doctors Without Borders and the knitting community.
At Edinburgh I got to meet with Heidi from P-Hop, which is
the pennies per hours. I heard about that, and they also sponsor Doctors Without Borders, right?
They do. It predominantly is just medicine down frontiers. And they really do some great things as well. But it's lovely that you just. It was a spontaneous kind of, this is something that I really want to do to give back. And the knitting community just seems to get on board. It really doesn't seem to matter if you're in the US or Canada or New Zealand or Ireland. Everyone just goes, it's like
people from all over the world contributed.
I absolutely love that about the knitting community.
Absolutely.
Yeah. Because you predominantly work alone and you are self-employed, one of the things that I tend to ask designers is how they stay motivated. Because, there are down periods. Everyone's really busy. Your kids are sick. You've got millions of emails to answer and all of that. So how do you, stay motivated to create and produce?
There are many reasons or many things that keep me motivated. Surely one of them is all the great people that I'm working together with. It's, I have met so many wonderful women in this industry, and I can only compare that to my old day job, right? In my old day job, there was no person who was inspiring to me or who I could live up to or who I really admired. And now when I look around, there are so many who have interesting life stories or who have a vision and to bring that to life, or who do something to contribute to the community. So that, of course, is really inspiring and motivating for me. Then, knitting was my hobby, right? So I did that for fun, and I still enjoy it so much. So I don't need a lot of motivation because it's there anyway, right? It's my hobby. It's what I enjoy doing.
I think a lot of people would say that you turn your hobby into a business, and it's a guaranteed way of
ruining your hobby,
removing your love for that hobby.
Well, that is true in a way. So I remember when I was only a knitter and not a designer, I used to knit for pleasure, right? To relax and to calm down and to ease your mind and things like that. I can't do that anymore nowadays. So if I want to relax, I have to do other things. I can't knit anymore because I am always ever knitting
How
work
could you divide it
projects.
from your work? Yes.
Right. But still, that's no problem. I mean, I can easily do something else to relax, right? So it's not hard to find something that I really enjoy doing. It's just that I cannot knit.
So it's not to say you're not enjoying the knitting, but it
has a different
it can't
background,
be extracted from the work that you're doing.
Right, exactly. And of course, other things that go along with being self-employed are maybe not that enjoyable, like doing the taxes. Yes, I mean you have to do it, right? But it's not that you love it or so. But it's just normal part of the job. So,
but if you can say, okay, well, part of what my work is knitting, that's far more enjoyable.
Right.
I think we were talking about, and it ties in with it being around other people that are, creating amazing things, or starting exciting projects and everything, and about the importance of things like the Edinburgh Yarn Festival and getting together with other people, and for that, those experiences really do renew your energy for things, I think. And,
right.
I was talking to Felicity Ford, Knitsonic, and she was saying just about how excited she is about the industry right now, and that there is such a vibe of we're all working together to bring it all up, to push, to keep improving, to keep getting better, and it's just amazing to be, like you say,
to be a part of that,
and to have the opportunity to, as you say, just meet so many inspiring people.
Yes.
And there's a real sense of help. Like, it's so different for me from the world that I was in before, because you were, fighting for funding. You would, it was very competitive, to this where everyone seems to go, oh, I'm not quite sure how to do this. And there would be someone there who would have your back to help you achieve the best that you can be. And I absolutely love the knitting community as a whole.
It's a very generous community, very generous.
Yeah.
Of time, of money, supporting charities, and I think we're good to each other.
Right. Yeah. I think that too. In my old job, there was competition as well, because if you wanted to climb a rank up the ladder, of course there are other competitors, and yes, that created an atmosphere of, I don't know, it was not as relaxed. Now, especially when I look at other designers, because there are only few designers in the knitting world who really make a living of that. So it's a relatively small group. But I never had the feeling that the other designers are my competitors, because each of us is so different. Each of us has their own style. It's also so good to be friends with them, right? Because you can exchange and you can...
You're all facing the same challenges. And
right.
You get the chance to...
You're maybe in the same life situation, having young kids at home and being self-employed and traveling around the world for workshops. So that's really what brought me close together with some of the designers in the industry. And I never felt like we have to fight or fight against each other because who has the most customers or so. No, it was always a very supportive and empowering group and atmosphere, right?
Yeah. It's wonderful, isn't it?
Oh, it's brilliant. I guess as a follow-on from that, do you have advice for any new designers who are starting out?
Yes, we talked about that in the beginning, right?
Yeah.
The secret of the job is constantly deliver high quality patterns. That's really the mantra to follow, and don't expect too much in a too short amount of time. This business is all about growing your following, and that needs time. You want people to know that your work is good, so that needs time, because they have to knit your patterns, and that takes time, and then maybe they have to think, oh yeah, that was a good pattern, let's look and see if she has other ones, and then that one has to be a good one also, because you don't want to put them off, right? So this is a long time process. So if you just start out as a designer, don't forget that, keep that in mind. It takes time.
There's a lot of discussion around free patterns versus paid patterns. Do you recommend having the same level in your free patterns as you do as your paid?
I recommend not having any free patterns at all. It's it's a high discussion always with a very
people feel very strongly.
People feel very strongly about that, right? I think if you have put so much time into creating a high quality knitting pattern, you want to have a fair compensation for that, right? If you are giving that away for free, you are devaluing your own work. You suggest that, okay, this is not worth a lot, so that's why you can have it for free. I'm just a friend of fair compensations. I think I have one free pattern from my very, very old ones, and I think actually take it down one day because also it is such an old pattern that it's not on my current level of quality anymore. I should really take that down. And apart from that, all my patterns are paid for, and I think that's often designers who start out think that, well, you want to get your name out there, right? You want people to knit your stuff, but and they think that having a free pattern is a good way to do that. I think it's counterproductive, because if you give your patterns away for free, you will attract customers that expect you to do so. And then they expect you to offer your next pattern for free and your next one. So that's putting you into a vicious circle, a bit of a vicious circle.
Something that people talk about a lot is their target market and about what they're trying to achieve. And I guess if you have knitters who
serving
only
that market,
they only knit free patterns, but if you need to make a living from it, they're
right.
Logically, it doesn't seem to follow, does it?
Exactly.
Right. And I mean, you wouldn't expect to go to a restaurant and have a great dinner and then not having to pay for it. Right?
I mean, again.
So that's just the exact same thing.
I guess then comes to our final question of what's in the future for Melanie.
What's in the future? Well, of course,
return trip to Dublin.
That would be cool, and I would maybe bring my family along with me. So this time I'm here alone, but next time maybe they would like to join me. Of course, I will keep going and keep releasing knitting patterns. I also started working on a book, my first book, so I'm pretty excited about that. But it's not even in the baby shoes. So we are really in the very, very, very beginning stage of that. I'm teaching every now and then. Yeah, and that's it pretty much. I'm working for a couple of third-party publishers that bring out collections later this year.
Have you more work with the fibre company coming up?
Yes. I'm not planning to contribute to a collection like I did in the past for them, because I have other things to do right now. But I'm working on one self-published design using the fibre company Aaron Moore yarn, Aaron Moore Light. Yes, it is gorgeous. Yes,
and it's sourced in Ireland, so we
really?
We support this.
Really? Yes. I didn't know that.
Yes, from Donegal.
I really love working with the fibre company because their yarn is special to me somehow, and Daphne is also an amazing woman. So it's very inspiring.
When we were talking about a supportive community,
she is very supportive. Right. So yes, it's a mix of third-party publishing and self-publishing and working on that book.
The book, very exciting.
Yes.
Can't wait.
Yes. Right.
Thank you so much for coming and having a chat with us today, Melanie.
Thank you for taking the time.
Thank you. And thank you so much to Lisa.
I'm not joking, you're coming back.
All right, I will.
Thank you. And if you would like to find out a little bit more about Melanie, you can. All the links will be in today's show notes for both This Is Knit and for Melanie Berg. And you can find her on Instagram and maryland.com.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes.
Okay.
Right.
Okay. Thank you.
Bye-bye.
Hello and welcome back. I really hope you all enjoyed today's show and chat with Melanie, and I will be back next week with another special guest where we get to chat about Worldwide Knit in Public Day and the Big Woolly Weekend. So pop on back for that one, but for now, as this has been a long podcast, I am your host Nadia from the Cottage Notebook. Bye bye.